It is match point right now for Beyond the Game, and they will have a couple of those because they're currently ahead 2-0 in a best-of-5 against TimeFlow. TimeFlow seem to have lost their rhythm right now. They looked super strong against RPG earlier, but now against Beyond the Game, I think they're starting to feel like this is a whole different caliber they're going to have to face.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup for them to reverse sweep the entirety of the way through Beyond the Game. And once again, that's only stage one. If they've managed to overcome the first hurdle, which was RPG, but the fact is, you have to win your way through all of the teams until you get to the one. Once you're past the one, you are going to the Eastern Clash. But right now, BTG, they are proving to be the stalwart defenders, considering that they have gone through for the last Eastern Clash, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, they went to last Eastern Clash, and they went to BlizzCon and Gold Club. BTG looking pretty solid.
Yeah, that they do, and it is their choice to choose a map right now. They're going to Dragon Shire, which I think caters very much towards their strengths right now, because not only in terms of drafting, but also in terms of how they move around the map. I think they're just always one step ahead of TimeFlow. And similarly to RPG, I really want TimeFlow to step it up in the drafting. Right now, they feel like they can only run certain compositions, but as soon as they're getting pushed out of their comfort zone, they just don't really know what to do anymore. Coming up with a double support Turiel solo tank just seemed like, you know, it's just super stable. Let's try to out-sustain our opponents because we have nothing else going in our favor.
So, as the bans begin, TimeFlow, as you said, their last chance to make it through. Can they stabilize, or are they going to start going into some of those more crazy drafts that we saw in the first couple weeks of play?
Now, when that is a ban that I really, really like when you first pick, like TimeFlow did here. Basically forcing your opponents to ban Maiev, which they end up doing, but also making sure that your opponents won't be able to steal the Hanzo away, because you could now go for Genji. And if you think about it, Timeless used to be a really good Genji. He's shown us great performance on that hero. Genji is also a playmaker, and I really think that Timeless needs to be on one of those playmaking heroes, because his individual skill and his mechanics are so good that he can oftentimes carry his teammates on his back single-handedly. We saw that with the Illidan, we saw that with the Garrosh, and if you make those combo plays happen, you could maybe actually get a point or get a match in this best of 5. If you see him on Johanna, on the other hand, which is a fairly, you know, passive and predictable warrior, he can't really do the same stuff.
It's true. Johanna is a much more slower and methodical hero in general, which is why we do see some of the more playmaking tanks being at the top, either the speed boost from Tyrael, for example, or of course just general power slides, or even a noob engage. But for now, a noob has been ignored through all except one game today.
Yeah, Anub has never really seen that much play in China as he did in the past in other regions, and still does in other regions right now. And it's oftentimes a little weird, because I think it has a lot to do with China relying on team fighting, on raw team fighting all the time. And with a noob rank, you can sometimes catch someone on the side lane, you can sometimes use your superior map awareness and catch somebody. Well, in China, it's always just, you know, we take one lane, we stay there, and we're going to dominate or go down while trying. So, Anub, I don't think, unfolds the true potential in China.
Instead, we see one of the heroes who most certainly does, the ETC, coming in for Beyond the Game. And Malthael will make it in. The last Malthael we saw did not land a single last rights. Let's see if BTG can do better.
It was really hard, admittedly, for Malthael to get last rights value, because I think there was a Turiel, there was a Sound Barrier, and a Sanctification, so good luck trying.
It was rough. It was rough. Poor chicken. That was a rough game for him. But let's see if BTG can do a little bit better here. Just right now, there is no protection. Tyrael is available, though, so TimeFlow can go down the fairly similar route that they did against RPG for that game.
Definitely true. Uther, by the way, is still available as well. Up to this point, TimeFlow has put a lot of emphasis on the Paladin, which is a little surprising, because if you think about it, Uther, true, he's still strong and competitive, but there are other supports that could fill the gap as well, and maybe encourage a different playstyle, like Rhaegar, for example, like Lothar Morales sometimes. Stukov, we just saw how powerful he could be. but they once again rely on Uther. Maybe that has something to do with the limitation in hero pool on the support player.
Potentially. That's an excellent point, considering his preference for it. We see Alarak coming in, banned twice, picked once, both times banned by TimeFlow. I'm starting to think this is a preference from their side that they just think everyone else shares.
Yeah, maybe there is a thing going on here with the Alarak. Now, Alarak, of course, can be really strong against an ETC. He has multiple opportunities to interrupt him from a mosh pit. You can shove him to the side, or you can silence him altogether. But they're thinking about an Anubarak ban, although we just highlighted his lack of popularity in the region.
He's still paid attention to. He's just not as high priority. Same with Arthas. They've just don't pop up as much. Once again, Arthas has been banned in the last couple games, but it's still not as popular.
Now, what I would like to see here coming in from beyond the game would be a Gul'dan pick. Not only is Gul'dan good against Uther because of his AoE damage and the Horrify, which Uther as a true melee support tends to get caught in more often than other supports, but also he provides fantastic wave clear on Dragonshire, strong rotations. He can even do mercenary camps later on without breaking much of a sweat. So Gul'dan, while he's underrepresented in China, I would really like to see him there, or alternatively a Chromie.
So there. I wouldn't mind either of those as well. Also, very satisfied with the stuck off target ban. That's that is very cool here, considering what it did last time. But yeah, a mage would be super impactful here. Gul'dan is going to be a little bit more efficient than Chromie, because Chromie against Uther does actually do pretty reasonably.
Yeah,
due to armor
could go cleanse,
multiple points of cleanse with Divine Shield as well. So yeah, the Gul'dan would be really solid here. Jaina, for similar reasons, but with less range, could also work.
Even a Kel'Thas, if you look at it, like up to this point, we've got 3 melee heroes. Because let's face it, Greymane will try to execute somebody in Worgen form. He can't really do that in human form. As such, 3 melees already. We see the Rhaegar coming in for the first time today, combined with Turiel protection here. So there is still a possibility for a mage, and it should be one, I think. Because with the recent balance changes and gameplay changes, most importantly in 2018, heroes like Vala, who used to be so popular in China, have been on the decline. And right now, there's not really a lot of basic attackers, if you will. Like no Raynor, obviously, no Vala.
Just Greymane, really.
Greymane and maybe Tychus, if you will. But he's got some magey components in his kit, right? Odin form, strong AoE, and grenade and stuff like that.
So yes, Greymane is the closest to a pure auto attacker. Like all auto attackers have poke, obviously. Even Vala's not a pure auto attacker. She's mostly a Q machine these days.
Yeah.
But even that does not get her picked. So if Alarak is likely going to be in the solo lane, unless he's going to pick like the stacking lightning talent, which is quite unlikely, we see Falstad and in fact TimeFlow are reverting to previous strategies. The Garrosh comes in.
When in doubt, fall back onto your core element of success that you had in this season, and that used to be for TimeFlow, the Garrosh compositions. Timeless is most likely going to play the fake War Chief, and come at me, Twitch chat. I know most of the Horde players don't have the guts.
He's the fake War Chief. If someone wants to pick the real War Chief, I mean, Sylvanas would kind of fit in the PTG, but they don't have much damage if they do.
Okay, Tetra, I'm going to ask you a very important question. Team Garrosh or Team Thrall?
Thrall.
Good. I like it.
Duh. He has redeeming features that aren't he's really good at fighting, and in which case he still is, though.
But back
both
to...
Thralls made mistakes, but that's just proves he's... I was about to say human, but no, orc.
Back to Garrosh, by the way. He just received a mighty counter to his kit. We see the Tychus being locked in for Beyond the Game. Now, Tychus could go the bigger they are at level 4, which normally unfolds more value if you face a single tank comp, because that one tank is going to get chunked down so quickly, he probably won't be able to make those plays. And on top of that, it ignores armor of Garrosh, so the lower he gets, the more exposed he will be to all that damage. So, can they pull it off with a solo tank Garrosh? Tetra, what is your thought on this?
The solo tank Garrosh against a double percentage damage setup. Malthael and Tychus. I have my doubts. Yes.
Yeah.
With
Me too.
what other protection you got? Uther, what's he do? He heals. Cool. What else? Armor? No. More percentage damage. It's down to Alarak.
Yeah.
Alarak is their. Alarak is basically their. Okay. It's not down to Alarak. It's down to their playmaking ability, which they have a lot of. Garrosh and Alarak can set up kills very effectively. Falstad is going to be either the follow-up with Burst with the Hinterland, or the disengage, basically flip one person, gust the rest.
True.
The problem with that is, sounds amazing, but it's a burden of execution. They have the harder to execute draft.
Yeah.
Which is very rarely a good thing unless you are at the level of like MVP, Tempest, Dignitas, Fnatic, etc.
I'm always a little concerned whenever I see Timeless on the main tank, because that means that the quote-unquote weaker players mechanically are now carrying all the burden of killing people, dealing the damage, and making sure they get takedowns. But maybe TimeFlow is going to prove us all wrong here and execute their team composition flawlessly. For now, though, we're going to introduce to you Beyond the Game in the Blues. 1 point away from advancing to the next phase. With Druid on the Rhaegar, 619 is on the ETC, ZJZ is playing Tyrael, the next Angel is played by LLK on the Malthael, and Dancing goes for Tychus.
And on the right-hand side, currently fighting for their survival, it is TimeFlow with Timeless on Garrosh, Cat on Greymane, 11 on the Alarak, Atubi on the Falstad, and F-Show back on that Uther. That's a bribe Falstad, Kendrick. That's a Hammer of the Lightbringer Uther, Kendrick.
Ooh, okay. We already see
and unrivaled strength. That's normal.
a couple of things off the trick box here. Trying to go for mercenary steals, maybe, potentially. I mean, it's not really hard to get those stacks for Falstad, and you can steal away those Siege Giant camps very handsomely normally. But is it going to be worth it? Because... oh, there goes Falstad. They're patiently waiting until he's gone. But, of course, flying over his opponents made sure that there was no ganks.
Very cool. Speaking of gags, though, the gags from TimeFlow comes in as Rhaegar. Wolf Run, not enough to save him. He gets taken out, and that was likely due to the Alarak, the engage from that.
And that is, of course, going to be the name of the game here for Druid. I mean, it's so important. Look at that toss over the shoulders and the drag on top of it. He chose the wrong escape path, though, right in the arms of the Alliance Bros, Greymane and Uther. And no longer will we see ETC around. Already, look at those strong rotations early on. TimeFlow is turning it up big time. But yeah, back to the original point I was trying to make. Rhaegar can never get too far to a target. He should really not use the doggy bite to either get additional damage in, to maybe finish someone off, because the moment he overextends, we're going to have Greymane, we're going to have Alarak, and Garrosh to punch him hard, potentially.
As we end up with the ruthless momentum coming in from Alarak. Not going for the sustaining power or even the extended lightning here. Going for what I would consider to be not the... ooh, Etui backs up. You don't obviously lose Wingman stacks if you do die on Falstad, but he wants to gain those stacks so that it is probably going to be to steal mercenaries. Remember, every time you bribe, you do increase your lightning rod damage a little bit as well. So it's very likely we'll probably see him go for static shield or the extra range or something like that. Or he might still take boomerang just for wait for it.
Exactly. In the meantime, Druid on the Rhaegar is once again fighting his nemesis, 11 on the Alarak. In the meantime, though, strong value with that early Knight camp. One tower down, the gate has fallen as well. And now it is going to be up to Beyond the Game to defend against the Red Knight camp themselves. Huge slide on the wall over the edge here. Can they get Timeless? The poison damage from Malthael is ticking percentage-wise, but a good toss.
Yep, just throws him away, tosses him aside. I have no intention of fighting you. Yep. However, unfortunately, Garrosh does kind of abandon his ally, who does go down.
Yeah, Garrosh is the traitor. Left Uther to die. You can really see the Alliance Horde animosity here between the individual players. You're not supposed to roleplay this time, Flo.
Uther will come back to life pretty quickly. We're at a fairly low level. Alarak did get a combo, which I decided not to watch. There we go. A little bit of damage was dropped there. Alarak level 4 going for the Show of Force, which is pretty reasonable here.
Yeah. Definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, huge value actually coming in from Falstad and the Mercamp, but ETC is waiting on the other side. Atui now surrounded by 3 members. That is a sandwich he can't escape from, and successfully defended against any early Dragon Knight shenanigans. But by the same token, we see Tyrael fall.
Yeah, nicely done. Uther was not able to grab the Dragon Knight as you called, but yeah, even Static Shield could not protect Falstad from that. as we do see bot being held by the Alarak and the Greymane. They hold the position together. As Felstad returns, he will be able to head straight back up the top and see if he can sneak something away. And bot is being pushed by TimeFlow. Current kill count 2-3 in favor of TimeFlow. You can see dancing there. He took all 3 of Alarak's abilities, so therefore he does a bit of extra damage thanks to that level 4.
He actually takes so much poke out of this. Gets flung in another time here by Alarak. I gotta say, 11 is on point with those combos. Now, ZJZ in a lot of trouble. Tyrael, he is tanky, but he's not immortal, trying to find a good angle to escape, but no Eldruins to save him here. And the clean mount up by everyone of TimeFlow, preventing any value from the trade. I gotta give it to TimeFlow, no. Despite the experience overall still being fairly even, they were managing to get some early never mind, there goes a gank.
Lightning Rod will protect him a little bit. You'll see the shield stacking up, but the damage is just too high. What? Oh, into the fray, but he teleported after him.
Wow!
I think that teleport and a Tui is going to drop here. Nothing he can do. And Timeless is in full retreat. He has to turn around, though, if he wants to stop this objective going over to BTG.
Such good timing by LLK, waiting for the teleport until Garrosh had finished the toss, and this is a Dragon Knight with an MVP play right there. Fantastic Malthael action, and now we see Tyrael and his boys rotating bottom while the Dragon Knight is causing a lot of confusion in the middle.
We see the Dragon Knight pushing in, the tower still up, and as such, an immediate bump, but in the meantime, BTG, they put some aggression onto bot lane. 11 not able to land a hit. With Dissonance, the extra silence duration, he is very good at social defending here. This is a great advantage that you can get with a Alarak in this kind of situation. But unfortunately, this does still force TimeFlow to split a little bit. Alarak now has help in the bot lane. Unfortunately, the help doesn't clear minions very quickly. So as such, they have all this wombo potential and nowhere to put anyone if they get the wombo because the minions are in the way.
Exactly. Now we see an aggressive move here by TimeFlow, really trying to defend this board at all costs. But here comes the Dragon Knight. Raymond comes shortly after. This could be a fight for survival. Level 10 is here for BTG.
Tries to enter the fray F show, but unfortunately Cat 11's already the nearer one, so down goes Pizza.
Yeah, Dancing really had to get the answer to healing here because the fort was hurting quite a bit ever since the 2018 gameplay changes. Those structures actually deal way more damage than before. Never mind. Good knockback here by 619, preventing the Alarak combo. Very well done. But in the meantime, they of course did have 5 people in the bottom lane and left Falset all alone. And he's now trying to get a little bit more pressure on this top fort.
Yeah, the fort is saved, which is the important bit here. Yeah. It's immensely weak, as heroics are now available for both teams. A Drakon laser drill coming in from Tychus, going for the Tormented Souls on the Malthael here, the team fight, and Falstad holds his level 10. Counter-Strike, Cursed Bullet, also a little bit of variance here coming in from the Greymane. Yeah, like I said, Falstad kind of heroic for the moment. Disengage or damage?
I can't really see it being any other choice than the Mighty Gust, though, because it's a good disengage against ETC and Tyrael aggression. It's also a good interrupt from the Mosh Pit. It could be used to make plays as well by gusting people into the backline. Oh, ETC is going in ham!
A nice taunt preventing the Mosh Pit. Timeless threw ETC into his team there. That was a very nearly a disaster, but the taunt preventing the Mosh Pit. You saw it go on a 10-second cooldown. Just comes off now. Timeless also barely survived that thanks to that armor. And as such, TimeFlow pick up yet another kill. And they can keep this aggression going on this bot lane. Uther healing Timeless up pretty effectively. And they're going to zone out the defenders.
And you brought up a really good point there. Normally, tossing over the enemy main tank into your backline is a very bold decision. Let's put it this way. But if the interrupt is ready, there goes the Mighty Gust, by the way. But if the interrupt is ready, and this time it was the Warlord's challenge, you can really make sure that he is looking a lot less scarier than before. So 619 will have to be much more careful. Those knockbacks, by the way, are golden, though.
Yes, Face Melt is one of the best tools for dealing with an Alarak due to the fact that the animation time, the casting time for the count for basically your Discord Strike and your Telekinesis combined is about the same amount of time it takes for a Face Melt to hit. Wow, just Mosh Pit gets completely denied here. Cat though, still being chased down. 11 not in the best position. Telekinesis is through. Counter Strike doesn't go off. They somehow avoid all damage to him. And Timeless is able to tank through, but this will prevent a Dragon Knight from coming in.
And nobody joined that party. Looks like the promotion wasn't really going ETC's favor here, but still a good moment for BTG to make something happen here. It's a 5 versus 4.
Material shielding is so good, though. Look at the health bar comparison. The beautiful 4-man silence, but nothing to follow up. Volstad arrives, but he can't do anything. He's gonna back up, and as such, it looks like Atui might actually be in trouble. That speed boost from Dash and Tyrael able to, sorry, not even Dash, just Tyrael here, able to allow Darcy to catch up to Tychus, but this is likely going to be the double channel and the Dragon Knight.
Alright, yeah, the increased movement speed from the level 7 talent here for Tyrael is huge. The additional chase potential that heroes like Tychus or Malthael can get out of this should never be underestimated. Now, Timeless using a toss here, but he could pay for it with his life. Malthael draining the health slowly but surely with a percentage damage. Now getting a little bit deeper, needs to be careful. He goes swapped by Alarak.
Timeless survived using his taunt to silence Malthael, preventing a lot of that damage output onto him. Atui is fully all in on his Lightning Rod build. I don't know if he has actually used Wingman yet. We unfortunately have not been able to see, so we don't know if he has the bonus damage yet. The Dragon Knight continues to pressure mid lane. Bot lane is just made out of paper mache. This defense is pretty much for naught, other than to potentially catch someone out of position if they're lucky.
Yeah, look at that shield value on the minions here. Justice for All not only applies to allied heroes, but also to non-heroic allies like minions or mercenaries. Big value coming in for Beyond the game here now. The kicks are landing, and they are trying to get more value in the bottom lane, though. Falstead already trying to get soaking done elsewhere. Going for middle, going for top. That fort probably won't last very long anymore. And it looks like Beyond the game, for the first time in this third game, can really set themselves clearly ahead of their opponents.
Yeah, they actually finally have more kills, which TimeFlow have been significantly ahead in all game long now. But they are beginning to bring it back. Falstad will defend top lane pretty efficiently. Only a little bit of damage will drop onto the fort this time, which is going to be a pretty big deal, seeing as it's the only lane left they have a fort in. Bruiser Camp is up. We need to keep an eye on the minimap, see if Falstad does decide to take that, or depending on how long until the enemies is up, we might try to steal that. In the meantime, though, BTG, they do grab a Bruiser Camp of their own.
Yeah. This is potentially going to be double mercenary pressure, depending on how quickly they clear the siege times, because the Night Camp is already en route. So they're definitely going to have to reinforce the bottom lane if they don't want to let these mercenaries go to waste. I love what Malthael was doing. He was not checking the bush. He was waiting for it to do exactly that. And here comes Tyrael. Here comes the rest of Beyond the game. Falstad needs to join his teammates ASAP, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought he was going for the Bruiser Camp, but it doesn't look like he is anymore. Instead, he's just clearing mid, getting some XP here, getting some more stacks for that Wingman as well. Malthael is beating him, and actually Falstad bullying Malthael a little bit. You can see the health bars at the top of your screen. Malthael to an intense 1v1, while the rest of TimeFlow defends this bot push.
Yeah, actually really well defended here. As you said, Atui on the Falstad showing LLKL who's boss in that mid lane. Not every hero can claim to be able to do that against the Malthael these days, so well played by him.
It's the fact with this Falstad build, it's not the most common, but it's really good in terms of 1v1s. Your damage output in single combat is insane, and your protection is great. Unfortunately, that particular screen they've showed us does not show a stack, so unless he's used them all, then Falstad has so far not either doesn't have any Wingman stacks and used them while we weren't looking.
Hey, you bring up a really good point, Tetra. Like, this build is a very common sight as well if you play against heroes like Illidan. Basically, any aggressive melee assassin really struggles against that, because Falstad all of a sudden turns from an easy kill into, wait a minute, that guy's actually fairly tanky with all those shields and the increased damage on every lightning rod bounce.
And potentially increasing it by, I think, like 5 or 10% each time you're able to bribe a mercenary. So far, once again, we have no idea if he's done any yet, as we do see the bottom shrine being taken by Falstad, while once again, TimeFlow, Troopers 4, defend, this time using their Bruiser Camp. They will be able to clear this.
This is by far the closest game in this set that we have yet casted. TimeFlow, they're fighting to the bone. They really want to make it happen. They're down 2-0. One more loss and they're out of the playoffs phase, and that also means they're going to have to go down to the Crucible once more. The Crucible where they came from. The Crucible where they surprised so many fans out there, not just in China. Now, for a moment I thought Atui was going for a Gust and steal it, but then of course he would have still had to face Tychus, who was slightly out of range, I believe.
Yeah, that would have been a rough engage. Speaking of rough engages,
Silence is
in
good.
trouble. Get silence. Using that dissonance, that extra silence on the disco strike. Counter-striking to dodge the Tyrrell explosion as well. Not the longest cooldown, so that's actually pretty decent to burn. However, here comes ETC. They want to turn it. Garrosh is the one who's engaged on, and they turn it and focus onto ETC. There's the boss bit. Where's the interrupt? Both of the interrupts were put inside it. And the Divine Shield lets 11 escape. He did not have the cooldowns ready to turn that around. Dragonite is snuck away by Falstad, but the rest of his team are just falling here. 11 is left alone in this top lane, completely outgunned, and he will get taken out eventually.
Yep, he is going to fall. The Uther Ghost kept him alive for a little longer. In the meantime, the Dragon Knight is getting value in the middle. Somebody's going to have to deal with it. He could actually pierce through one of those side walls and go for the keep exactly directly. Sometimes you could do that with a Garden Terror, but rest in peace, Garden of Terrors. But I'm really liking the fact that Beyond the Game realized or noticed this imminent threat, went back and defended now together. But once again, clean execution on that ETC with a mosh pit, not afraid to go in, although somebody died earlier. They realized Falster was in the side lane. Falster was probably trying to get the Dragonite. That's why they turned on the aggression, despite theoretically being one man down.
Yeah, the silence duration not long enough. Dragonite attempting to punt Malthael there, but self-cleansing himself, preventing that. But it is baiting here. LLK and from above. Now you see Black Harvest. There we go. Malthael able to stack that up quite nicely. Not going for the die alone, which is another reason why he was losing 1v1 to that Falstad.
Yeah, very true. So all heroic abilities with the exception of Mosh Pit are now available for Beyond the Game. Tyke is making sure that this Dragon Knight is dead for good. And it's still a very even game, Tetra. Both teams are now down to 3 keeps. No more forts are standing. Dragon Knights were used left and right. And I couldn't imagine any more exciting situation right now for one of the potential match points for BTG.
Pretty intense. BTG are ahead, but not by much. Structures are basically even levels. They're only about a quarter of a level ahead. That's not much in the grand scheme of things. That is basically a minute or two of hiding in the base and letting minion waves push up the TimeFlow to even up if level 20 gets hit.
And the false set value is so important right now because both teams are clearly trying to just race to level 20 and then maybe making things happen then. They don't even care to push with those mercenary camps anymore, which in the first place makes it a little questionable, like why you even take the merc camp, but at this point, neutral mercenary camps means the one in the middle of the map, like this bottom knight camp. You just want to take it away from the enemy team so you don't have to worry about yourselves anymore. But now we see knight camp pushing left, knight camp pushing right, a little bit of XP lead for Beyond the Game. I think we could see an escalation in top lane very, very soon.
Possibly. TimeFlow doesn't appear interested though, because they are very chill in this bot lane clearing up.
But they're going to have to take care of this one. After them getting level 20, I think they will have to take care of this.
And this would be a fairly reasonable time to do so. Look, oh, are they planning on... There's roots up in mid lane. They're going to soak the XP. I don't think they want to fight. I think they're just going to move back into their base and defend from inside the base. Just play it horrendously safe until they have their own 20. The only person who's going to be out on the map is Falstad. He is the only person with the best chance of escape, although that's going to be difficult. ETC now has Bolt.
And it's a little unfortunate that it was top lane that was currently pressured by the Mercam. Really good escape by Tui here, by the way. A really close, tense moment for a Falstad, but clear in control. But yeah, the top lane you can't push in all the way to the base. It is... There's a thing called the Bridge of Death. Oh, wait a minute.
No one was bot lane, and Garrosh was a little too slow on top lane, and no one could...
That is a big problem for TimeFlow right now.
Pretty good move. Telekinesis not able to get Alarak out of range, but it's bought a little bit of time. As such, everyone from TimeFlow is now grouped up. Level 20 is available. Alarak going for that level 20 hasty bargain. Not that hasty in this case. He picked it pretty the second he hit 20. But everything else...
Now, Tetra, watch ETC. Like, he's not using the Dragon Knight at all to really tank any unnecessary tower shots. They want to make sure that this Dragon Knight stays as healthy as humanly possible to get a keep, and maybe after a mistake and a kill or two, go for the core. They were playing this so patiently, also because Malthael was chipped down by Falstad once more.
And once again, Falstad proving to be the 1v1 master. Malthael really regretting splitting from his team here, forcing Rhaegar to use that healing totem. But Dragonite has now moved in. Falstad hits the upgraded gust. They're trying to focus onto the Titan, who is taunted in. Moving forward, Zack is really good. Torment is sold into the backline. Timeless gets lasered and Dragonited. But Tigers and Rhaegar are already down. The lasers doing so much damage to Alarak, but they're trying to focus onto the Malthael here, who just won't die. Atui gets punted further back. 11 is dropping low to ZJZ. Drops the silence. EGC is here. Uther, but he has redemption. Trying to heal up 11 as they're focusing down. Turns it round.
More gust.
Uther continues to heal Alarak. Uther returns. Stuns on Tyrael, who is taken down. Greymane is back. And EGC.
No way! No way!
With an incredible defense.
The hold is real for TimeFlow. They stay alive once more. Malthael is back in the fight, but so was Uther. Finally, we see the wingman value here, and now is the time for TimeFlow to maybe even end the game. This is the best chance they're ever going to get. 4 people are still dead for Beyond the Game. 2 of them for a very long time. Tyrael and ETC. That means no front line, no zoning out. They can just go ham on that bottom keep, maybe even on the core.
They don't have their own front line either, though. It's Cat. They're trying to juggle aggro, but no one can tank the keep, Kendrick. They can't end the game. They have to back up. Falstad is just clearing the minions, keep the push going, but the keep is dropped low. Both teams, and again, the structure counts just even again. They both have just a weak keep in the bot lane, and it's gonna pretty much, we're gonna be waiting for either the next team fight or the next Dragonite again.
And at this stage in the game, at this point in time in the game, the global could make all the difference here. Providing distraction in the bottom lane, getting the bottom shrine, and then flying up top here with a false set. That could really give them another Dragonite. And I think I'm not leaning too far into this game if I say that the next Dragonite is most likely going to win the game. Because we're getting into minute number 21, 22, and with the scaling of the Dragonite, it's going to be a serious threat now. It's all going to come down to who makes the first mistake. And Beyond the Game, they're all of a sudden looking a lot more shaky than before.
Mosh pit in 12 seconds. Looks like EDC might be willing to fight without it, or he might just be positioning in advance. The keep will drop here. ETC coming in from behind. Face off, trying to separate F-Show away from the team. This time it's going to be Timeless, who throws it into the rest of the team. There's the beautiful taunt. Ancestral Lance from ETC, though. He has Mosh pit back. It's up to Falstad now. Counter-Strike not getting a huge amount of value as down goes Garrosh first. The gust is used. This is a full disengage. They're forced to the wall. But 619, he still has Mosh pit available. Bolts forward. Separates F-Show from the team. F-Show will drop.
No redemption this time.
Not back as Cat will also go down. 11 and Atui, the only survivors here, and that will be bot keep, a keep for a keep. But a Dragonite could be attempted to be snuck here if Alarak is able to sneak bot.
I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, though, because Beyond the Game is already posturing up here at that bottom keep. Only 2 members left alive. No gust, actually. Maybe Falstad should have saved it there to defend the base, but that's going to be a big, big thing now against TimeFlow. Alarak in trouble. Does he have Counter-Strike? Yes, he has. No, he doesn't.
But he can't use it. Gets absolutely blown up. Atui doing all the damage he can, but the next hero to be alive within 13 seconds as the core is focused down, and this is going to be it, Kendrick. In a 3-0. With a slight delay, in a 3-0, BTG will be going forward to the next round to play against Sunny Lion. We'll see Garrosh do what he can here, but Druid's left alone, 619's left alone, and they move on. Well played. Beyond the Game, take out TimeFlow.
Beyond the Game, after a constant back and forth in the bottom lane, going from one keep to the other, all the way to the original one, and then Beyond the Game sealing the deal by destroying the core for a 3rd time in this best of 5. Wonderfully done by them, but it was so close, and it must feel heartbreaking for TimeFlow to go out this way, because they have shown us great team fights here in this 3rd game. They almost had it, but as you said, if only they had Garrosh or someone else to soak up the tower shots, or the keep shots, sorry, it would have been their game to take potentially. So close, yet so far sometimes.
Yeah, that final fight as well, just a little bit shaky. Falstad in mid lane, potentially a little bit too long, but The call was made. They felt comfortable with it. HGC, the moshless engage to just force people out of position, and they were able to execute Garrosh early enough in the fight that they were pretty comfortable. Well played by BTG. They move on to the next round to play against Sunny Lion.
Yeah, Sunny Lion, the second open division team here in China, actually looking surprised.